Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast. Here we are two daughters and their dad, seeking to inspire and educate you to follow your dreams of being in business by teaching you the business of being in business. The good, the bad, the humor are all parts of our unique perspective as an entrepreneurial family. Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast, Two Daughters and Their Dad. I'm your host, Staci J. Dempsey. And per usual, like always, thankfully, I have the one and only dad and the other daughter. Good morning to Jack and Jennifer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're super fired up over here today because we got some pretty hot topics that we feel that the majority of all entrepreneurs have probably faced, but are definitely facing right now. And that is the supply chain, quote unquote, issue and the staffing, quote unquote, issue. I'm putting those in parentheses because I feel like issue is maybe a kind word because I know some other people that I bumped into that have some choice words before we mentioned staffing and supply issues. And I know, Jennifer, you are facing some of these very things, and Jack is facing some of these very things in our businesses. So we have some good conversation here planned for our listeners today on some ways to think about these two hot topics right now that are going on in the world. And I think that we can all agree that COVID is not the excuse any longer, right, Jen?
Correct.
Like, who wants to blame it on just COVID? It's like, duh.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, I think, I'm even, you hear that, it's like, well, because of COVID. And there's no doubt COVID was very disruptive. It also created a lot of innovation. But at the end of the day, I think, we would, as business people, we would all be better serving our customers and our clients if we could, not say that anymore. I mean, there's issues. We've got, every business is facing things, but I think it's time for us to stop saying, well, because of COVID, and figure out a way to reframe that.
Well, right, because we can blame it on COVID when the world was shut down, but guess what? The world is open, and with the world being open, we need two things to run our businesses, and that's things. We need our products to serve our people, and then we need people to help us serve our people, and no matter what industry that's in. So let's kind of start with the supply chain challenge right now. What's been your experience, Jen, in the supply chain issue, and what are some ideas that you could maybe share with our listeners on ways to combat that? Because you definitely need things to make people beautiful in your business. So,
and like I shared with you guys before we hit record, I'm going to be totally honest. The supply chain issue is my number one stress in my business life at the moment. The good thing is that we've kind of experienced something close to this during really the main stretch of COVID, of things being delayed, longer ship times, X, Y, and Z. Inside my business, I need a lot of things, a lot of products, a lot of products to actually perform the services that we sell, and also our retail space, which is a major source of income for us. Every single weekend, if we get half of our order in that we originally ordered, then we are lucky. I think what I've done differently since the supply chain issue has started is, number one, plan ahead. Whatever we have budget in our business, whatever we normally would order, we're obviously ordering double the amount in hopes that we will get some. Thankfully, my staff has been supportive. So, I'm sending, not only are we ordering from a warehouse, we're ordering from stores, we're having stores delivered to us. So all of our partnerships know the problem. and are trying to be as helpful as possible. So making sure that everyone's on the same page, being super transparent with your staff, your team, the distributors that we have, everyone is definitely going above and beyond to ensure that we have the products to service our clients. And the second major decision I had to make within the supply chain issue is one of our color lines we had to completely drop and pick up a new color line that is available and is in stock. So it was a quick decision, a quick business decision, but we could no longer continue to tell our clients we do not have this. So we dropped that color line and picked up a new one that was in stock, and we are now fully stocked. So, you know, one of the biggest parts of being a business owner is making decisions and making them quickly and having a problem and being a problem solver. And those are the two things that we have dealt with within the supply chain issue.
Well, and I know, Jen, you also shared earlier before we hit record that you understand the ebbs and flow of your business. So you know that you're coming up on the holiday season. So 2 or 3 months ago, you were saying, you know what, let me start doing extra now, ordering extra now, because I know what's coming. I know what's going to happen. So, right, that's what you decided to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially as you monitor your business year after year, you know when your busy season is coming. We're hearing it on the media every single day, especially around the holiday season. Shop now, shop early, because things are just not available. So we wanted to ensure that we had things available. So we started in the summer stocking for the holiday season, being prepared for that, and also trying to set our business up to be the most profitable in the next 2 months. That's a major goal for me, because again, you have to reflect on what's happened last year. We lost a whole holiday season and we did not make the profit that we would normally make. So we are still in full on catch up mode and really trying to produce the best numbers financially as possible for our business. So definitely being prepared. I mean, and that's really what it's all about. We are all aware of, again, what's going on with the supply chain. So making sure everyone's on the same page and knowing that we need to prepare for this and we need to do a little bit of extra to make sure our clients don't feel the effect. I don't personally want to put out that, hey, we're struggling within this and within that, because I do believe as a business owner, there's some things that your clients need to know. And then there's some things that are none of their business. So we want it to seem like everything is seamless and everything is going well until we absolutely have to put that message out to our clients.
Nugget alert, I think so. Nugget. Yeah. We want everything to appear seamless and easy for our clients. You know, no matter what your business is, you want to serve and solve a need or a problem for your community and the people that decide to do business with you. And that's a big reason why people do business, with us. I know that's certainly in our industry, where we don't necessarily have a tangible product, but, people know that we can make things easier and just make life a little bit easier for them. So that was a good nugget alert, little sister.
With my business coat on today, you see me?
Yeah. But Staci, I tell you, on the retail side, one of the things that, maybe a lot of our listeners aren't aware of is that, especially like at Christmas time, a lot of merchandisers would actually create a level of scarcity with certain products, over the holidays. Why would they do that? Well, because once the holidays was over, nobody was coming into their stores, in January and February, right? So I remember, like, back in the day, one of the things was the Cabbage Patch doll. That was something that, was a hot item. There was people literally, fighting, getting in fist fights over them and that type of thing. Well, there was actually that was a scarcity that was done by retail at the time, because let's face it, if I'm as a parent going into a retail store to buy my kids Christmas gifts, and my little Stacy wants a Cabbage Patch doll, but they're on back order, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to sign my name, right, and say, okay, well, I want one as soon as they come in. Okay, so, but now am I going to Christmas morning hand her that voucher and say, well, it'll be here someday? No, I'm still buying her toys. I want her to have toys to open up on Christmas morning. So I'm buying other things. So then I buy those things, and then next thing you know, there's all kinds of Cabbage Patch dolls in February. So now I'm going to buy that Cabbage Patch doll. My point is that, trying to look at some of those scarcity things and say, all right, how can we do this in such a way, that will still bring people into my retail store to buy the things that I do have, and have them, whether it's, going ahead and signing on to those products that I can't get right now, but realizing that means that's just going to be business going into 2022. So, I mean, I don't advocate deceiving people, but, but by the same token, how can you draw them in and still, get them to buy things that you do have, based on, whether it's for Christmas and, a particular time of the year.
Dempsey Weiss and Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com. J Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
Yeah, well, it's right now it's definitely, you don't have to deceive people to know that there is a scarcity issue. Right. Right. And so, Jack, you shared a really great story about some business owners that that have been really innovative in the pizza business. And so why don't you share that story with our listeners? Because I think that's a great example of, they have a supply chain issue for sure, but not only are they being innovative, but they're also being able to sell other products that they have more access to and still serve their community and their customers.
Yeah, that particular story, I know there's a couple places where, again, they were typical, pizza restaurants and sold, the other foods. And it would just be, the ebbs and flows, they would sell a bunch in certain days and less on other days. But what they decided to do was just put out there that, we're limited on how much we're getting of, the ingredients for pizza dough. So basically we're selling 100 pizzas a day. We can do 100 pizzas a day. So you need to pre-order. So if you want 2 pizzas on Friday, you need to get your order in, because once those 100 doughs are gone, we're not selling any more pizzas, that day. So it actually creates a level of almost like a scarcity. So it ups demand. It's like, oh, I don't want to miss out on my pizza. So now all of a sudden they're getting those pre-orders. And if Friday night runs out, then they're ordering for Saturday, Sunday, whatever it may be. But the point is, now they can now have a level of predictability that they're selling the other products like the wings and, the mozzarella sticks or things that they have in abundance, that would typically go with those pizzas, So, again, it just creates, the ability for them to be more consistent rather than, selling out, early in the week. And the other thing is it also helps them with, which was the other topic we're going to cover, is employees. Now they can really control their employee needs because they have a much more predictable amount of sales day in and day out. So they might not need to have, quite as many people, because they're not going to get slammed on a Friday night, for in a 2 or 3 hour period, because, there's only 100 pies. That's all that's going to go, so they can be very, very predictable with the amount of employees they have. So again, a way to just innovate and think through, kind of the supply chain and the scarcity aspect of things right now.
Yeah, I love that example, because I mean, I know that there's multiple businesses right, around where we live that are doing a lot on social media, where you can see that they are probably pushing maybe one type of dessert, or something that they probably have more access to, that they can produce in larger amounts, that maybe they're doing some type of more different promotion with, and so they're still able to get people ready for the holiday season and be a part of the festivities, but they're not really promoting maybe what they did 2 years ago, all because of the supply issue, and it was maybe a popular item. So they're almost taking something that wasn't so popular and making it popular now. And it's working out. So Jack, you mentioned staffing, which, staffing can always be, a little bit tricky, but it's super tricky right now. And everywhere that you go and everything that you see on TV, they have lots of reasons why staffing is an issue, but they're not saying how to not make it an issue. So what are your thoughts on how to not make it such an issue, right now?
I think you just have to really step back and rethink, what your value proposition is, as a business and as an employer. And I've been reading a lot about it, because clearly, where we're not so much product driven, we are definitely team driven. We need people. We need good people. We need people that can learn a lot, because the learning curve in our business is steep. And so trying to address how to attract good talent. And quite frankly, it seems like the common theme out there is the culture of your business. What kind of business culture do you have? Is it something that people feel like that they can come in? Maybe you want to be promoting that you're, if you join our organization, we're going to invest in you. We're going to invest in your growth as a person, as in your role. We're going to give you, maybe you need to be talking about kind of what a career path or track might look like, for that position starting out, and where that person can go. I think a lot of people are looking at, what is your business doing outside of its normal business? I mean, are you involved in the community? Do you do things that connect with the community? Because a lot of people are looking for that. They're looking to work with organizations that will give back. They want to be part of something that's giving back to their community. So I mean, that culture, and then when you building that culture, then your culture sells. Your culture is what's going to, because now you can have employees who, and that's where social media comes in too, because if you're doing these things and you're building that culture, and then you're putting it out there for people to, see what you're all about, then your clients like it, your customers like it, because they see you're involved in things beyond just the bottom line. But then your future employees and people coming onto your team see, wow, that really looks like a great place to work. It looks very, innovative. It looks, where a place you could really grow, in your life. Because again, people want to, money's important. I mean, we're not going to say it's not important, that it is, but it really has gotten somewhat less important and these other things of, growth and education and mastery of your role. How are you investing in me so that I can become better? Those are the things I think that are going to win the day, in attracting high quality people to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to your point of, or the example of the pizza place, also the staff that you do have, being very transparent with them about, here's our plan, with, the 10 pizzas a day, and giving them a sense of, all right, there is some stability here. There is some consistency in the number of hours that I'm going to be able to work. And so even not just attracting new staff, team members, but also the people that you already have working on your team, seeing that you have a plan in place to keep them working and keep them busy and doing what they enjoy doing inside of your business, I think is really important as well. So on the topic of transparency, I know, Jen, you shared a couple of stories before we hit record in reference to being told something will be ready in 15 minutes, and then it really was closer to 45 minutes, and that it really wasn't the 45 minutes that was the issue. It was the lack of transparency that was. So why don't you share a little bit about your perspective on that with our listeners?
Yeah, I think like we had mentioned already, I know for me personally, I am, as a consumer out in the world, I am tired of hearing COVID be an excuse all of the time. So I have taken that inside of my business and made sure that we are not using that as an excuse, and we are really, explaining the real reason behind any problem that a business might have. So, for example, I was telling the podcast team that I had ordered contacts, and they're telling me, oh, because of COVID, we're not going to get them for a month and a half. And I was upset over that because I felt like that business should have been prepared for that type of back order, and should have brought in more samples to offer to their customers. That's just one example. So my question is, how can we not use COVID as an excuse anymore inside of our business, and get down to really what the problem is, whether it's staffing issues or supply chain issue, and be transparent with our customers, and not just using every excuse, every time something goes wrong, oh, well, it's because of COVID. I think all that is doing for our customers is driving them further away, because from our point of view, it's like, well, we've been dealing with COVID for so long, so we should have it together by now, right?
Well, right. And I liked, I like the wording that Jack had mentioned earlier, was that reframing what the message is. And even Jen, you, I think, gave us a nugget, was just call a thing a thing. Tell us what the issue is, and let's do that, rather than just giving the umbrella of, COVID, because the world is open, right?
It is open. That's right. It is open. And Staci,
Yes.
this podcast is two daughters and what?
And the big cheese.
No, and their
Oh, and
dad.
the dad. So you don't want me to call you Jack?
Then why you keep calling me Jack?
Well, because listen, so so that our listeners understand,
I want to confuse everybody.
Dad and I
Jack
are,
the dad.
listen, Dad and I are good. Okay. But in our business life, when we're working together and we're in front of clients, I like to refer to him as Jack. I feel like it sounds more professional, and it's better in the professional life that we have. but he's still dad. I just don't go around everywhere calling him dad. So I slipped up on the podcast and accidentally called you Jack. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay.
Dad and I are good. So
Thank
to our
you.
listeners, I loved what Dad said. And the language that he used was reframing, framing
Right.
the conversation with our clients and customers.
Well, that's right. And that sounds so much better when you say dad. But but I think that's the thing that we want to think through is just again, not dismissing the fact that there is challenges, and a lot of it was brought on by COVID and the pandemic. But let's be creative. Try to think of ways that you or your people that work for you can reframe the responses on things. So if you are having an issue with a particular product, I mean, an example might be, well, unfortunately, we can't help you with that. But we do have some things that might be of interest that, that could be a substitute until we get that product in, or can bridge, where you're at now to the time when that product will be available. Just try to come up with creative ways to because I think everybody's just growing weary of kind of the normal kind of things. But as Jen said, it is important to be transparent. So, I think I would much rather someone say, I mean, if I'm walking into a restaurant and it says, it's going to take a little longer to get your food because, we're working short staffed, I'm great with that, and now I can sit there and I'm much more patient, in that situation for sure. So also trying to communicate early, when that there's those potential challenges that, in the past people would, get frustrated by. But, it would be much better off for Jen to hear, well, yeah, we got your order, or say right up front, right now it's taking about 45 minutes, to generate the orders, so most people are going to say, fine, I'll just come in 45 minutes, no big deal, but when you come at 15 and then sit there in your car for a half an hour, then it's frustrating, so I think that's what's important, is just try to be upfront and, without making an excuse, but certainly making it very, kind of communicate it early, and the reason why, is important.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you mentioned, Dad,
Hmm.
almost said Jack, daggone it. How about it? Like you said, Dad, people are going to be much more, I know, right? I almost said it again too. What in the world? Probably just need to say Dad from here on out, no matter who I'm talking to.
Okay.
But anyway, like you mentioned, I know everyone, most people are going to be far more understanding by saying, this is the reason why something is the way it is, and they're still going to be doing business with you, because I know, especially during these times, unless a business has done something severely, grossly terrible, I'm still doing business with them and supporting supporting local businesses. So good
Because the
stuff.
other thing too, Staci, is, that if you're not having to communicate it now, you might have to in the near future, and that is raising prices on what you sell and on your products, because the fact that, again, you're just flat out paying more for for those things, so, again, just getting that out in front. I mean, I know, I'm seeing more and more that, products, they're posting things, and there's things out there, letting their customers know that, hey, that it's going to cost you a little bit more, than it did before for, that particular item or that particular service. And again, I just think it's, that's just good business. Get it out there in front, let people make their decision, not get to the counter, and then they're ringing it up, and, now that product that was, $3 is now $5. Get that information. I think most people will still end up probably buying the product, hoping everything's kind of short term. So, but that's going to be a big part of it if you're not facing it already as a business owner.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff today. I think we hit some pretty good topics here and some great conversation on, at the end of the day, we still always have to be thinking outside of the box, regardless of what the challenge is. And I know that these are two hot topic buttons right now in the world in which we live in. So I hope that what we've discussed here today has been helpful to our listeners. We just want to remind you, don't keep us a secret. Please share us with your family, your friends, the people inside of your business, and the people that you work with. And also remember, you can email us with any questions that you would like for us to answer on our podcast at two daughters, TWO, two daughters and their dad at gmail.com. We want to thank everyone for tuning in today. And until we can be together again, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Bye-bye now. We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey Weiss & Associates and J Faith Hair Studio.